So this show is about fuck ups and mistakes. Not that you've made any, but
right.
you know.
I was about to say, where do I start? I mean, like, yeah.
So we've had everything on the show, haven't we? We've had people's businesses that have failed. We've had pitch nightmares. We've had
pitch nightmares.
Things we weren't even allowed to broadcast because they're potentially liable. We've had somebody mistaken for David Cameron at a press conference, and then he basically delivered the press conference with the entire team.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Cameron.
That's brilliant.
So there's some fantastic ones,
ones.
and we do a super edit at the end of every year with all the kind of mistakes added together. So come on, what confessions or mistakes are you able to share?
I can give you a couple. That last one does remind me of when I was on the board at the CIPR, and there was a very lovely man called John Brown who served too. Fantastic, brilliant brain. Looked and spoke just like Gordon Brown. Did not make the connection. He was always banging on about politics, this, that, and the other, until someone said, "You do know that that's his brother, don't you?" I didn't sleep all night. I was just like, what the hell have I said at what point? You only just can't, everything is
about the government.
Your head. Yeah, about everything. I mean, I'm opinionated on everything, right?
What does John Brown do then?
He's fantastic. I think he also works in
politics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But he's brilliant. He's hugely ethical. He's brilliant on governance. He's a lovely human being. It's just.
And did you realise like hours later?
No, it was about months. It was like I literally served on a board with him for months and months and months, banging on about politics and what more this and that. And you must hear it from everybody with that stuff. Anyway, that's an aside. I mean, where do I start? I think a couple of more fundamental ones, which I think other people will probably have had similar experiences. I think there's been a couple of employers that I went to which didn't share my values, and I stayed there too long, even though I knew. There was one, I was there 9 months, where I actually learnt a lot, but there was no leadership above me, and that was a disaster. I went to another one where I was in a leadership role, and I knew within a year that actually it was not a good place, and I probably classic me, thought I could change it, and it would have been impossible. So like boiling the ocean. So that was terrible. I mean, I can give you a million. What about when I went globally viral? And then what about the second time I went viral? And then recently, with Martin Sorrell, I did LinkedIn viral, which was the first.
What was the first viral occasion then? Come on, is there about?
Yeah, I mean, was it a mistake? Some people would say yes because it damaged my reputation for a bit. I say no because I was true to myself, and also it was about my beliefs, and it actually brought me a lot of new colleagues and new business in the end. But with that one, when my kids were younger, I think they were probably, I feel like saying they're close in age. They were 6 and 7 or 7 and 8. And I was reading those Biff and Chip books at school.
Yeah.
We had Sleeping Beauty. And it was around the time of the Me Too movement. And there was a picture in there, and it was this dodgy looking prince. And it was very dodgy looking in the picture, leaning over a sleeping girl, and then Biff or Chip, or whichever the little boy is, in the background watching as he kisses.
Biff's the girl, isn't it? I think.
I
think Chip's the boy. So I always thought Biff's a weird name for a girl. Biff was in Back to the Future, and he was a big geezer.
I don't remember because I'm slightly traumatized by all of it.
Yeah.
But so it just is like, you just say, and I just looked at it and just thought, oh, for God's sake, it was awful. And I tweeted something like, we absorb, kids absorb this while we're still seeing imagery like this. We're not going to improve. I can't remember exactly what the word was, but it was basically said, reference the Me Too movement, and that used the hashtag. And the Evening Chronicle, Ronnie Gill, rang me and asked me for a comment. And you know what? The way they put it was. And I know the team there, so this is no reflection on them. Just asked me about it, and so I gave them a very innocuous comment. I was actually in the gym at the time. I remember clearly I came out of a class because I spotted the number. I was like, "Hi, how you doing?" But I deal with it all the time, and it got picked up by they syndicated across, and then it went across every single tabloid, and then it went.
Are you thinking, "Oh no, what's going on?"
Well, do you know what the best thing was? I ended up when it actually went wild. By that point I was in London, and I think it must have been just before I was becoming CIPR president. I was in a board meeting. So I think it was like before I'd actually started my year as president. And I'm sat in this role, and my phone just started going boom, 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 boom. And eventually I said, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to go and deal with this. There's something blowing up.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious because I was all these comms people on the table. Nobody had noticed that something was going on, like in the news headlines. And so I went out, and I'd literally gone globally viral because all those classic commentators had given me this stupid woman trying to ban fairy tales. It's just not what.
Pierce Hogan weighed in, and Katie Hopkins.
All of them. I mean, he literally retweeted me and sent a whole pile of keyboard warriors my way. And all I'd said, including to the Chronicle, was that fairy tales have always been meant as back to storytelling, which is, oh my God, Martin Sowell, I've just realised in my head I've come a 360. Storytelling is going to hold me forever. I basically said storytelling and fairy tales were always used to warn young people. They've been a great way of making sure that people understand about risk and what have you. I said, but in this situation, I think this would have been really good in a couple of years' time, because actually I could then have been talking to my kids about consent, but they're just too young. So that was the premise of my argument, right? It's like, this isn't an appropriate picture, but actually fairy tales are really important because they have a really good use and actually a useful parenting tool. Not so according to the media. So not one of them fact checked. It was just crazy Northeast mum wants to ban fairy tale. But it didn't just go across the UK. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. It went everywhere, everywhere. I had calls from Australia, I had calls from Denmark, everywhere you can think of. Radio 4 Today wanted me on, they wanted me on this morning. Literally.
Did you own it then?
Everything.
Or did you think, I'm going to do this? Or did you think, shit, I better retreat and hide in a tortoise shell?
It was awful, right? So I've got 3 stepkids, and that was a relatively new relationship.
Yeah.
And I was a bit like, oh God, am I mortifying them? Thankfully not. They were fantastic and really supportive, because actually quite quickly there were some other voices that came out in support. So Giant Street Porter, but they were like Lad Bible and some really
random ones.
They all came out on my side.
That's
so
nice.
all of a sudden it was like, all right, maybe she's not completely mad. But it was really, really painful because my ex was a very private person, and he was terribly uncomfortable with it. As we know, the media can be very unscrupulous. They've been to the house, they've been through the bins, they've gone down the street.
So this really spiraled.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Oh my God.
They went to. They found the headmasters. The kids, and they were in like a Catholic junior school. They found their head teacher's address and door knocked his wife.
That's horrendous.
And I still get them from time to time. This is how crazy it is. I got death threats, rape threats. Told that people were going to report me, so they should have my kids taken off me.
That's horrendous.
Holly Willaboobies.
Yeah, Holly Willoughby.
Again, as a reference of a prior age, I get, but Holly Willoughby, who named her daughter after a Disney princess, gave it what for?
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean,
and it's half. Everyone's acting on half a story.
But it's that what's
information.
that expression? Something about the like and travel twice around the world before the truth gets its boots on us. So
you were kind of cancelled off the back of.
I was fully cut. Oh yeah.
And so how? Because I've always
people I worked with forever in the Northeast marketplace.
Yeah.
Or who are known for a long time, because it's a small community. Going, I used to get you stupid girl. And then what was really interesting though, I had a raft of community right behind me going, you go, girl, that's absolutely right. You keep that tweet. Because people kept saying, just take the tweet down and they can't use it. But no, because fundamentally it's what I believe is my values. I'm not doing that. It's true. Yeah. And it's the misreporting, isn't. So did I challenge it? Did I go on to any of those things? Because loads of people said, you could probably end up as like an influencer on one of these.
People springboard an entire career on that basis, don't they?
But you know what? I just was very considerate of the people in my life around me. Like Stephen walked into the office the next day. He was working at Ketchum at the time.
Yeah, I remember.
And they have like a row of papers out, and I was on the front of them.
Oh my God!
I mean, he wasn't bothered. He was phenomenal. He was fucking fantastic. I mean, like he propped me up because it was. I cannot tell you how. Do you know what it is? And there's a book about this, and I'm rocking my brains to think the name of the author, and it'll come back to me. But there's a book about people who've gone viral and been shamed, and the shame is real. Like it took me a long time, and even now I feel a little bit prickly behind me. Like because it's like it's so thing. But then while I lost a piece of work, I then got 3 pieces of work because people went, love you, love your values.
I'm backing you.
Yeah, I'm totally in.
And so they should. I mean, if anybody you should be in a relationship with, it's a good time for it. It's another successful PR person to have him. Like, because if I did something wrong, and let's face it, it's been pretty close on this podcast. If we ended up going viral,
this hasn't happened.
he wouldn't back me. He'd just dump me down the. I'd have only got my wife to talk to. She's not a professional communicator. You know what I mean?
Though, genuinely. Would I change it? It was really hard. It was really, really hard. And there's still some scars. But you know what? I'm a much better practitioner for it. And I get a lot of shit in this role. You know, like, there's a lot of troll. We had a stalker for 3 years, a genuine stalker. It went to...
You did, or the
Stephen and I, for 3 years.
From both of you?
Yeah. There's a lady we used to volunteer with who stalked us. And it went to the Met. The Met cocked it up, so the CPS couldn't get to court and to get a restraining order put in place. But this was our life. But thankfully, because of the experience I had, that was more manageable. And in this role, you know, you put your head above the parapet, and, you know, naturally with that role, you have to be prepared for challenge and for conflict and some trolling. And there is somebody in the US that trolls me absolutely regularly. And while there are some days it absolutely bothers me, there are actually also days where I just think, if that's the best you've got, you know, I've been through an awful lot worse. And also, when I was still in an advisory position, when I was in agency, it meant that I could speak with authority on that subject.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. That's what I was thinking. Like, no one can... You've been through that process. You can advise somebody who's really struggling through horrendous, horrible... That's the worst side of media. And the thing about social media is it promised such a great thing. And it's actually a lot of the stuff that you've talked about while you've been sat here is all the bad side of social media, because the Americans, not all the Americans, but
I did about digital PR.
The billionaires behind the social platforms have pushed it towards advertising, polarized everything. And it's created the trolling side of it is this stuff that I absolutely hate. But you're right, you can't. The problem is, when you're well known, whatever it is, through fame or through infamy, what's the word? Infamy. You're not going to. Not everyone's going to like your view, are they?
No, and you know what? Sometimes it's good, because if it's certain. When we launched Socially Mobile, our community interest company, and it talked about it being for underrepresented groups, but particularly those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, so more disadvantaged people. And I talked about the high prevalence of independently schooled people in PR. So it's like 27%, the national average is 7%. It's exceptional, right? And it's making it very difficult for people to get into this career. The point is that sometimes you know you're doing the right thing when you're annoying the right people. So I got loads of people coming out, angry white men, they were in droves, going, you, again, stupid girl, because that comes up a lot. You stupid girl, we don't need this. You're tilting at windmills. I mean, I was just like, oh, like, once you get them, you know
you're doing something.
You know you're up to the right thing.
But then, you know, people are allowed their view. I often find that if I've got someone who's incredibly challenging, you know what? I want to hear it, because they're doing it because they care. Like, if you get someone who's constantly griping about something, you've got to give them the time. Then there are some people that you'll never suit, and you've just got to say, do what you like. And that kind of thing. It's like when you've got a new baby and everybody's full of advice. It's like, smile, nod, move on.
That's a really. I read somewhere that I understand what I think. I want to understand what they think, and that's that's the reason. For example, I read all media. I need to understand what everybody thinks, and as a PR professional, you need to understand diverse viewpoints.
Right? Yeah, we were in our little echo chambers.
Brexit.
And that's exactly what happened. People weren't listening to the other views. And again, back to what I'm saying, PR is in the perfect place for brokering understanding. We don't have to broker agreement. We have to broker understanding.